I want to take the opportunity to thank you, Liza and Lori, for all of these opportunities to be a part of the alumni association, the alumni events that we do. It really is my honor, and it really is my pleasure to do it. I'm so excited to be here tonight. I'm coming to you from the Food Innovation Design Lab. Liza actually mentioned the College of Food Innovation Technology. And if you're a graduate from the College of Culinary Arts, you're probably saying, what's the College of Food Innovation and Technology? So before we get started, I'm going to take a little bit of time to kind of unpack that. While I'm doing that, I want to make sure that everyone has their mise en place together. So if you have the recipes in front of you and you're cooking along with us, what I want you to do is to start scaling out your recipes or measuring them out. Okay, they are in standard measurement. So using your teaspoons, your tablespoons, your cups, get your recipes scaled so we can kind of just go along, because I got about 45 minutes and God knows I'm long-winded. So food innovation and technology. In June 2020, the College of Culinary Arts made its official evolution to the College of Food Innovation and Technology. Now, is that a decision that we made with the snap of our fingers overnight? Absolutely not. If you're a graduate within the last 15 years of the College of Culinary Arts, you know we've been building up to this. With the onset of the culinary nutrition degree back in 2000, the concentration in wellness and sustainability, we're building up to what we're calling today the College of Food Innovation and Technology. So is it a name change? It might be, depending on how you look at it. But again, it's not something that we flip the switch on. It's something that we feel strongly about. It's something we feel that as we rethink food, we can do a whole host of things. One of them may be redefining the food service and hospitality industry post-COVID, building a brain trust here on campus that can kind of think that thing through. Being a hub for people that kind of think like us, that are forward thinking in food. And we're going to try to do that here with the launch of the FIT Symposium here in March, bringing kind of thought leaders in food back to campus so we can kind of have, again, I use the word brain trust, but again, have this collective here on campus that can move the needle on things. Okay, we can redefine hospital food. How funny does that sound? Redefining the hospital experience for patients, both pediatric and adult. We're doing that with the collaboration with the Boston Children's Hospital. And can we deliver a world-class culinary arts degree online? The answer is yes, and we're doing it, and we're going to continue to do it. And you're going to see that launch here pretty soon. So the College of Food Innovation and Technology is the next step, right? It's, again, I use the word evolution of the College of Culinary Arts, and that's exactly what it is. We're standing on the shoulders of a 47-year reputation of being a tower in culinary education. Okay, and again, with the onset of the College of Food Innovation and Technology, we want to put food right at the core. All the things that touch food. Food is an international language. It's the one thing we all do. It's the one thing that connects us as human beings. Okay, so that's what we're doing at the College of Food and Innovation and Technology. It is incredibly exciting. If you want to be a part of it, we're not batting down the hatches. We're wide open. Come down to campus. Come in for lunch. Come join me in the FIDDLE, which stands for the Food Innovation Design Lab. This is a hallmark lab that I'm in right now, where all of this kind of tinkering goes on. There's whiteboards behind me or in front of me that I can't really talk about. Yeah, of course, we're under NDAs and all these other fun acronyms, but we're doing real world exploration. We're doing real world ideation. We're doing real world product development that's going to change the scope of food moving forward. Okay, so if you're a graduate like I'm a graduate, you should be incredibly proud of what we're doing here at the College of Food Innovation Technology, Johnston Wells. We are forward thinking. It's about time. I use an analogy. I used it earlier on a call today, only because I vacationed at the Jersey Shore as a kid, but we're like that hermit crab that needs to grow its shell, right? You need to change the hermit crab shell. It outgrows itself. That's where we are. We've outgrown this kind of slicing and dicing cooking school. That we're not that. Okay, we will always be that. We will always create the world's best chefs. We will always create the Michelin star, the James Beard Award winning chefs. That is without a doubt. We will create the world's best pastry chefs, food and beverage directors. That is what we do incredibly well. But again, when I say move the needle, that's what we're going to do. We're going to be looking at food and exploring food in a completely different realm that we haven't, that you may not have seen historically done here at JWU. Okay. That being said, I certainly want to welcome a special guest tonight. Lila, if you're out there, I just want to say thanks so much for being here. I wish I could see you. I'm going to go to my other camera here in a little bit and take a look, but I hope you're having a fun time. I hope you, mommy and daddy, are cooking along with us tonight. So Lila, thanks for being here with us. Thanksgiving. Okay, that's why we're here tonight. Talk about Thanksgiving. And I want to make sure I stay on time here. I don't know how it's going to look this year in 2020, but historically, Thanksgiving is that holiday. And I wish I could see you guys raise your hands. Is whose favorite holiday is Thanksgiving? It's my favorite holiday because it's kind of based around food. It's the holiday where everybody wants to cook. Everybody wants to potluck, bring something to the table. The table's overflowing with food, and it brings us all together. That's what got me into cooking in the first place. It was those family gatherings that were just so enriching and so fun. Right, we all ate and drank and watched football, and it was just it's just memory. It's a memory bank that I hope I never forget. And that's really what sparked my interest in food, the communal table. Okay, I'm going to do 2 recipes. We're going to do 2 recipes tonight. This isn't a demo. This is a cook along. We're going to do 2, hopefully in your mise en placing or scaling out the recipes as I was just talking there. But we're going to cook along with each other tonight. When I do my check-in, if anyone's behind, raise your hand, turn your microphone on and say, Chef, can you slow down a little bit? I'd be happy to do that. Okay. But I kind of designed it so we can make the cranberry sauce. And while that's simmering, we can kind of talk about the salad and put that together. Okay. I didn't want to, I got a lot of requests to do something with turkey tonight. We can talk about that ad nauseum. I'd be happy to, because I do have, everyone has their kind of thing they do with turkey. I certainly do. And I'd love to talk about it. But I wanted to do something, a couple side dishes, right? Because everyone does the turkey. Everyone has the stuffing. But, when it comes to doing something outside the box as a side dish, I think that's where a lot of people get jammed up or get kind of stumped when it comes to Thanksgiving. Okay. And if you're like me, again, I think I've opened umpteen cans as a chef, as a foodie of cranberry sauce, right? Some people actually prefer it. And I'm sure I'll get that in the chat feature. I'm sure I'll get that when we turn our microphones on. But opening that jellied cranberry sauce, I think, is something that is very American. Okay, I wanna step outside of that. Okay, for tonight, and I want to do something with fresh cranberries. Okay, if you've never had a fresh cranberry, they're indigenous to the Northeast of the United States, of North America. Believe it or not, there's a company right up the road from Providence, where I am tonight, called Ocean Spray. I'm sure we've all heard of it, but their bogs are abundant this time of year, and it's harvest season. Okay, so what I did is I went to the market myself, and I got myself some fresh cranberries. Okay, and if I was kind of a jerk, if my 2 friends that are joining me here tonight, helping me with the camera, I'd make them taste one of these just to be funny. They are incredibly tart, like Sour Patch Kid or Warhead tart. Okay. So when we go through this recipe, if you're looking at this recipe saying, oh my gosh, chef, there's a half a cup of sugar in this recipe. I didn't promise nutritious, but but we have to do that because of the tartness of the cranberry. Okay. Do they ever get sweeter? No. We have to sweeten these. Okay, when they dry, they pump them full of the juice, and then they dry them until we get craisins. Yeah, they're super sweet, but there's a ton of sugar added to craisins. Okay, trust me, fresh cranberries, frozen cranberries, they're going to make your lips pucker. Okay, but here we are. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is take my 2 cups of fresh cranberries. Okay, I'm going to add them right to a sauce pot, high-sided saucepan. Okay, I don't want to do this in a saute pan or in a shallow pan, because there's liquid, right? There's liquid, and anytime there's liquid, we've learned here at Johnson and Wales, or the Food Network, wherever you learned about making sauces or anything with liquid, we need the high-sided pan. Okay, so in my saucepan, I'm going to add my 2 cups of cranberries, okay? Lemon juice, orange juice, okay? I have myself a navel orange, okay? Why is it a navel orange? Because that the side where the opposite side of the where it grows on the tree looks like a navel. I mean, there's nothing more to it than that, okay? Navel orange, it's a modified fruit, so it doesn't create seeds. So this fruit can't basically reproduce itself. There's no seeds. It's a seedless orange, okay? What I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to move this pan out of the way so you can see me, is I'm going to zest, okay? That's something that we've all heard before, zesting the citrus fruit, okay? Why am I using the zest? There is a ton of flavor and oils just on the outside of the citrus fruit, okay? We don't want to go deeper than that skin layer, okay, or that zest layer. There's something underneath that called the pith, which is very bitter. Okay, so if you have a box grater, or if you're trying to do this like with a paring knife and you're trying to peel the zest off, not a good idea. It's a simple and cheap investment. It's called a microplane, okay, or a zester. Okay, get yourself a microplane or a zester. I've done this so many times that I can do it in my hand, just like this, but we want to be very careful that we don't nick our knuckles, okay? So what my suggestion will be, this microplane that I have has a little rubber side to it. You can hold it just like you'd hold a box grater flat on your cutting board, okay, and run the citrus fruit down it that way, okay? So I'm gonna zest my orange, okay? And we're gonna use, okay, if you're cooking along with me, we're gonna use this entire orange worth of zest. Cranberry and orange, absolute fantastic partners, okay? They complement each other so well. So I am not afraid to add all of this orange zest to the, and as you're doing this, if you're cooking along with me, you're going to just tap that right into the pan, take your French knife, okay, clean your cutting board, take all of that zest, guys, okay? We're gonna go right into the saucepan, just like that, okay? I'm gonna go right into the saucepan. Then I'm gonna take my chef knife or my French knife, and I'm gonna cut across the prime meridian, not the equator, okay, the prime meridian, okay, if you wanna go back to your geography class, that's right down that middle, okay, and again, when I open this navel orange up, there are no seeds in here, so I don't need to use a reamer necessarily. I don't need to use a, I don't need to use a strainer, okay, or chinois to get the seeds out, okay, I can juice this, or I can squeeze this right into my saucepan, okay, and we're gonna use the entire orange, okay. Squeeze that orange right in there. Okay, and then after I squeeze this orange in here, guys, the recipe is quite simple from there. Okay, that's about all the prep we really need to do. Okay, the juice of one orange, the zest of one orange, okay, and then the rest is kind of a dump and go. All right, I have a half a teaspoon of cinnamon, okay, ground cinnamon. I'm gonna dump that right into the pot, okay. I have my half a cup of sugar. Sorry about that. I promise that we need it, okay? Maple syrup, okay? I have, how much do I have here? 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, okay? More sweetness, but again, a flavor profile that's just different. And when you're doing, when you're creating recipes, you want to you want a differentiator. You want to say, what's different about this? And I'm going to tell you a little anecdote here in a second. Once I add my next ingredient, okay? This is port wine, a quarter cup, guys, of port wine, okay? I'm going to pour that right into the pot, just like that, okay? I'll take my spoon. I'm just going to give it a nice stir on the tabletop. Okay, and you're going to see there's a decent amount of liquid in there, and as these cranberries cook, they're going to start to pop. They're going to start to break down, okay, and add more liquid. Okay, that's the liquid that gives us the sauce in the cranberry sauce. Okay, so what I'm going to do is once the cranberries start to break down a little bit, I'm going to thicken that to give us the kind of mimic that thickness that you get in the jellied cranberry. Not so gelatinous, but it's going to be thick. So when we nappe that sauce, or when we put it on the plate, it kind of sticks to the turkey, sticks to the stuffing. Okay, I'm just going to turn around, put this on a medium heat, okay, right behind me, and I'm just going to let that go. Okay, medium heat, let it go. Okay, how's that sound? All right, I'm going to Just clean my knife real quick. I'm gonna switch my cutting board and we're gonna do a check-in, guys, okay? Let me change my cutting board. I'm gonna come down to my laptop. I wanna see how everybody's doing. I'm gonna have to click over to gallery view. All right. How's everybody doing? Still on my main camera. I see Kevin's cooking. All right. All right, I'm going to, a lot of people without their camera on, that's okay.
TJ, we have one question in the chat. Can you please explain port wine?
Yes, absolutely. So port wine, you know, is short for, I see Lila. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So port wine, Portugal, right? Portuguese, very popular from the Azores, the wineries on the Azores that make port wine, mainland Portugal, fortified. It is sweet, very sweet. It's a fortified wine, so it means it's fermented twice, all right? So it's allowed to get sweeter and sweeter. Something comparable to a port wine. So the port wine is very red. It's made, you know, the grape itself. Madeira, okay, is another Portuguese wine that's fortified. Brandy, Marsala, okay, if you ever had chicken Marsala, okay, that's another fortified wine. Sherry is another one. If you've had lobster bisque, you know, it's sherry is a sweet fortified wine, okay? And again, when we're talking about cranberries that are so tart, we got maple syrup, we have granulated sugar, we have port wine. That port wine is going to reduce, just like any other wine sauce, like Beurre Blanc, any others, you know, if you're deglazing your roasting pan after you roasted chicken, you want to make like kind of a wine gravy or a wine jus or au jus or julie. The wine's going to evaporate, right? Or the alcohol, excuse me, is going to cook off. It's going to evaporate. So you're not going to have a cranberry sauce that tastes like you're drinking a glass of wine. And of course, when you do drink port wine, tawny port or something, like, you're going to notice it's a very, very sweet dessert wine. Okay, so that's why I'm using port wine. Could you use red wine, like it's the Cab or a Merlot? Of course you could. It's going to have, of course, a different profile, but again, with the sweetness you're adding from the sugar and from the maple syrup, you're certainly going to sweeten those cranberries up. All right. Any other questions? Anybody want to turn on their microphone and ask a question? I'm going to get right into that salad. We're not going to be shy. I see Lila. I see Lila turned her camera on. Hey, sweetheart, how are you? Wish you were here with your chef jacket on, helping me out.
I don't have a jacket on.
Oh yeah, okay. All right, so I'm going to give everybody a little bit of time to kind of clean their cutting board, okay, kind of get situated, and I'm going to jump back onto the main camera. I'm going to talk about this salad that we're going to make. Okay, guys. All right. This. Did you do my salad and just do that? Thank you so much. I'm going to reach down here and grab my mise en place for my salad. Alrighty. So this is fun. This is going to be really, really fun. My cornstarch back here. All right, I'm already getting a simmer. That's fantastic. I'm already getting a simmer on my cranberries. I'm going to turn that down. If you start to see a boil, okay, just turn it down a little bit. Okay, because there's a lot of sugar in there. We don't want to make, like, we want to crystallize the sugar. Okay, so if you're starting to see a boil on your medium heat with your cranberry sauce, turn it down. Okay, cooking, okay, in general is about controlling delta T. Okay, controlling delta T. If you can learn, that's why sous vide cooking is so popular, because now with sous vide, we can control time and temperature like I can control the ingredients in a recipe, okay? Before sous vide cooking, it was like, oh, put in a 350-degree oven. And if you don't set a timer and God forbid, you forget about your chicken, your turkey, whatever you're roasting, you're gonna scorch it. It's gonna be like the turkey from Christmas Vacation, okay? Because the highest degree you can cook anything in an oven is 212 degrees, right? Because everything's made of water. All food is made of water. So once you've cooked all the water out of something, you're burning it. So after 212, you're burning it. So if you're in 350-degree oven, and God forbid you cook that turkey to 350 degrees, it's going to be a tough eat. Okay. So sous vide cooking is very popular because we can cook at lower temperatures, more exact temperatures for longer periods of time on that XY axis, in a controlled environment, a safe environment, but a very detailed and detail-oriented environment where I won't overcook my food. Okay. So when I'm not using a sous vide method, I just got to keep my eye on things. Okay. I just got to keep my eye on things, and everyone's burners are different, right? Some of you guys may have induction at home. Some of you may have electric burners, okay, which is medium is a little easier to find because if there's 10 numbers, 5 is probably medium, but gas is a little bit more difficult to control, okay? So my suggestion there is turn the gas all the way up and say, okay, that's high, turn it all the way down until it doesn't, you know, kind of go out, and say, okay, that's low, and then find your happy medium, okay? Liza, if there's any questions that pop up in the interim, just let me know, okay? And we're gonna get to it. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit.
One question about the cranberry sauce. Does it have to be a navel orange?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It does not have to be a navel orange. It could be just a regular orange. It could be a Meyer lemon. It could be a tangerine. It could be a Buddha's hand. Okay, so the citrus really is up to you. And I told you I'd tell you a story about that cranberry sauce, and I'm going to tell you. But yeah, I want you to be creative. Okay, if I was baking a pie, or if I had a formula, you know, a baking formula, a bread formula, we'd be pretty exact on this. Okay, but when we're cooking, I want you to be creative. I want you to add things, because what's the worst that's going to happen? Oh, you know, that was lemon juice wasn't a good idea. You could up the sugar a little bit if you wanted to use lemon. That's perfectly fine. I want you to be creative. I want you to think outside the box. I want you to create your own recipe. Okay, and adding the maple syrup, adding the zest of the lemon or the orange was kind of my idea. This is a true story. I got the inspiration for this cranberry sauce. I can remember my first time ever allowed to cook something for Thanksgiving. It was quite some time ago, but there was a show on the Food Network called The Essence of Emeril, and I was obsessed with Emeril Lagasse. I still am. I think he's a great friend, but he's a mentor. And I remember there was an episode right around Thanksgiving when he was doing sides. He was doing a fig jam, and he did a port wine cranberry sauce. And I made this cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving that year, and I've used it ever since. I've adjusted it, right? I didn't just. We all get inspired, right? We all look at the recipe now with the internet. We can click on anything and find it. So the recipe is easy to find. But adding maple syrup, cutting back the port wine a little bit, adding the orange zest and the orange juice, it makes it my own. Okay, so that's what I am encouraging you to do. All right, so if you don't want to use orange and you want to use tangerine, or you want to use grapefruit, go right ahead, try it out, see what happens. Okay, so we're going to do the Brussels sprout salad for you guys. Okay, it's going to be pretty quick. I've already taken the pleasure and the honor of slicing some of my Brussels sprouts. Okay, so follow along with me as I mandolin the rest of these Brussels sprouts. Okay, Brussels sprouts in the cabbage family. Okay, cruciferous vegetable. If you've cooked them, you've smelled them. Okay, even raw, they still have that cabbage smell. So how many times have we had roasted Brussels sprouts? How many times have we had it with bacon, with onion? It kind of gets roasted or charred. Okay, it gets old after a while. Okay, and I love slaw, like coleslaw or any type of Asian slaw. Love it. Some of my favorite side dishes. So if this is the mini cabbage, why can't I make a slaw out of it? So that's what we're really doing. We're making a salad, but we're also making the slaw. Okay, so in my bowl here, I have some shredded Brussels sprouts. Okay, I'm gonna switch to my other device now and give you a little close-up of the Brussels sprouts as I shred the remainder of the 4 cups of Brussels sprouts, guys. Okay, 4 cups of Brussels sprouts. You see that? Did we toggle over there, Liza? Sweet. Okay, so now we got a little. That's a great view. Okay, you can see what I'm doing on a mandolin. So if you're using a mandolin, chefs, please do me a favor and be careful, okay? You can see I'm not going all the way down to that root end, only because I want to keep all my my digits in place and my fingers in place for the holidays, okay? All right. If you're using a knife, guys, it's perfectly okay to slice these, okay? I just prefer them to be thin. I prefer them to be consistent. And a mandolin is just another one of those kitchen tools that really allows us to have consistency. And it's a huge word in the kitchen, consistency. Okay, so you set the mandolin to a certain width, and you kind of just get after it, okay? Clean that off just a little bit. All right. Move my mandolin. And what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to switch back to the main camera. I'm going to do a little dump and play. I'm going to throw on some gloves because I want my two assistants to try this salad. And it is a salad, so it's what we call RTE, or ready to eat. Okay, ready to eat foods. You certainly want to make sure. I had that Brussels sprout. I had a little barrier while I was slicing them, okay? But as I do my kind of build here, I'll make sure I have gloves on, okay? If you're feeding it to your friends, to your family, just food safety is very, very important. Okay, so I got my Brussels sprouts in my mixing bowl, okay? What I'm gonna do is just a little kind of dump here. Mise en place is kind of already done. Sun-dried tomatoes, okay? It's a great way, if you sun dry your own tomatoes kind of over the summer, it's a great way to what we call extend the seasons, okay? So I have some just jarred sun-dried tomatoes that I cut julienne, okay, into strips, and I have a little bit of the residual oil that the sun-dried tomatoes came in. Again, very fall flavors, dried cherries, okay? You can use dried apricot, you can use dried blueberry, you can use dried cranberry or craisins, okay? You could even use raisins, okay? Golden or not, okay? So my dried cherries are gonna go in, okay? I have Pecorino Romano cheese, a third of a cup, okay? If hopefully if you're following along, you have that recipe in front of you. Third of a cup of Pecorino Romano. What I did with this is I used my peeler and I peeled ribbons off of the Pecorino, and I'm actually gonna do some for you when I garnish this, okay? So a third of a cup of that kind of peeled ribbons of Pecorino Romano cheese. And I do that for aesthetics, okay? I do that for more of a textural thing as opposed to just grated, okay? The chive, 2 tablespoons of snipped chives, okay? I'm gonna go right into the bowl. I have a Roma tomato, okay, kind of that more elongated tomato, which I took the pleasure of concassing, okay, which is Mondaire's, to peel the tomato by making an X incision over the top, boiling it quickly in 30 seconds in boiling water, splashing it in ice water, peel the skin off, and then you take the flesh off in petals. Okay, you don't want the seeds, okay, and that's what we call a concasse or a concasse tomato. And again, I'm using tomato. Is it necessarily in season? Well, depending on where you are. If you're in California, you got more tomatoes than you can shake a stick at. But I'm using that for color. I'm using it for a little bit of freshness. Okay. Pignoli nuts or pine nuts, some of my favorite. Okay, very, very high in fat and oil. Okay, so when I'm toasting these, I do not want to add oil to the pan. Okay, so just a small saute pan. Take your pine nuts, add them right to the pan over medium heat, and just toss them, okay, until they're nice and toasted. I'm gonna do that right behind, okay?
TJ,
all right, so yeah.
While you're doing that, we have a question about the cheese. Does it have to be Pecorino Romano, or could you replace it with something else?
Does not need to be Pecorino Romano. That's a great question. Grana Padano is one of my favorite cheeses. Stirring up my cranberry sauce right here. Grana Padano, one of my favorite cheeses, or just a Parmigiano Reggiano. Okay, just simply Parmigiano Reggiano. Okay, so I'm gonna. Anything else, guys?
Are there other nuts you can use instead of pine nuts?
Absolutely. I think if you want to add walnuts to this, I think that's perfectly fine and certainly in season. If you want to add almonds, totally fine. If you want to add pecans, it works. It works. I mean, you think about the flavors that are in there. I just love the pine nut. I think, you know, I make pine nut, the pignoli nut cookies for Christmas. It's just one of my favorite things. I'm Italian. I think, I don't know if that, that means anything. Half a cup of lemon juice, guys. Okay. And a quarter cup of extra virgin olive oil and just a touch of salt. Okay. And you're probably looking for some, I'll toss these pine nuts really quick. Turn that up just a little bit. We're running low on time, guys. You're probably looking for some like a secret way to emulsify this dressing, but I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. Lemon juice, olive oil, salt, container with a lid, airtight lid, shake it. Okay. Just like you get it out of the supermarket bottle. Okay. Probably not the best analogy, but that's where we are. Okay. Just shake it. And that's all we need to do. We're just emulsifying the oil and the lemon juice. Okay. I'm going to season the salad with some cracked pepper. Okay. Touch of salt. Okay. And I'm just going to add I'm going to add half of my dressing. Actually, I'm going to add the whole thing. Okay. We're going to add the whole dressing to that. All right. And what I want you to do, okay, is we're tossing the shaved Brussels sprouts with all those beautiful ingredients in the lemon vinaigrette. What I want you guys to do is to add the pine nuts warm, okay? There is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong. Okay, so now that my pine nuts in the pan, okay? There's nothing wrong with a warm salad, especially something that's hearty like the Brussels sprout, okay? I'm just gonna toss them in, just like this.
I like how you did the salad.
Oh, thank you so much. So
Yeah.
warm pine nuts, and what it's going to do is it's going to kind of help wilt the Brussels sprouts just a touch. Okay, there's nothing wrong with a warm Brussels sprout salad. Even if you wanted to lightly saute those Brussels sprouts, I would not be mad at you. Okay, I'm going to ask my friend to push these, move that away. I have my plate here. Okay. Good. Okay. Last thing before I plate this is the garnish. Okay. I have 350-degree oil. Okay. So be very careful if you're doing this at home. 350-degree oil, a little bit of a small strainer. Okay. Inside the oil. And then I've taken a jar of capers and I've strained the liquid out of it. And I have it in a seafold napkin here. Okay. To dry the capers off. And I'm going to lightly fry the capers in the 350-degree oil. It takes no time. Okay, so keep an eye on this. Okay, I'm just gonna walk back here to my oil. Okay, add about 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of those capers, and I can hear them popping. Okay. All right. What was that, about 15 seconds? Okay, so I got fried capers right here. Salty, briny, okay, delicious. Great way to top this salad. Okay, so I'm just gonna go into the plate here and I'm gonna toggle over to my other device and I'm gonna have you guys kind of watch as I bring this salad to the plate, okay? So you can see up close just how beautiful the colors are in this salad. Okay, so right there at the bottom, right? They always say the best part of the salad is right at the end of the bowl. Okay, you see the pine nuts. Sorry, you see the ribbons of the the pecorino. Okay, I'm gonna take my fried capers and I'm just gonna go right over the top. Okay, so fried capers right over the top, guys, just like that. All right. Running low on time, we're gonna come back to the main camera. Okay, I'm just gonna instruct you. I have 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, guys, okay? In a little cup, okay, metal cup. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of water, okay, to that cornstarch. I'm gonna make what chefs call a slurry, okay? A slurry of the cornstarch and the water. Mix it together, okay? As my cranberry sauce is simmering, I'm gonna add the slurry directly into it, stir, okay? Bring that back up to a simmer, turn off the heat, and I should have a nice thick cranberry sauce, okay? That's how we finish off that cranberry sauce, all right? That's how we finish off the, you saw the salad finish with the fried capers, okay? So if you're cooking at home, I want you to finish that cranberry sauce because I want you to put it in a food safe bag, a Ziploc, refrigerate it, okay? I want you to freeze it. Thanksgiving's not for another week, okay? So we have our shaved Brussels sprout salad with all types of accoutrements and fixings, and our port wine and maple syrup, real maple syrup, I may add, for my friend Matt Tetzner out there who's watching, along with Kimmy. How are you? Real maple syrup. I'm not getting kickbacks for that. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. So our maple syrup, port wine, cranberry sauce, and our shaved Brussels sprout salad. Again, with finished with fried capers. I'm going to enjoy this. I want to open it up to questions now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my main computer. Okay. I'm going to plug in my other headphones, if that's okay, guys. Do we have time for questions, Liza?
We do. We have about 15 minutes.
All right. Sounds great. I think that's perfect. And then we're going to turn that over. Okay. So I'm going to just going to switch. All right. How's my audio, guys?
Good.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. So I want to, first off, you can, my main camera still catch me over here, but I am on my laptop, so I can see everybody's Brady Bunch screen. Brady Bunch. I think I want to thank you all for participating. If you cooked along with us, hopefully you got some great flavors. I know we didn't scale out the salt and the pepper in that salad, but you certainly can. You know, if I'm going to turn my camera on for you guys. You certainly can. You know, if sodium is something that you want to be watching in your diet, you certainly can do that. I kind of do it to taste. And don't forget that the pecorino is very salty. Don't forget that the fried capers are going to be very salty that you're adding on top of that also. Okay. I think again, it's a variation of a slaw. I think it's a fantastic way to use Brussels sprouts differently as a side dish. You know, especially if you're in a warm area. Right? We're all not in New England. If you're down in Florida and you just don't want roasted Brussels sprouts, or just shave them and serve it as a cold salad. So that being said, I'd love to open up the questions if we have some time. Like Liza said, we have about 15 minutes. So do we want to read off the chat?
Yes, we have a couple questions in the chat. How much oil did you use to fry the capers, and what kind? Yeah, that's a great question. So over here in the design lab, I think canola oil or corn oil or vegetable oil would be great to fry because of the smoke point. Like, you certainly don't want to fry in olive oil or anything, or butter, something that's going to burn and kind of catch on, smoke up the house. I had safflower oil over here only because the project that we're working on is super like healthful and nutrition based. So we have a lot of safflower oil. So I fried in safflower, very readily available at the supermarket. But I think, vegetable would be your best bet. Okay, highest smoke point. I probably, they're deep fried. The capers are deep fried. They're not shallow fried. I mean, it's a caper. It's about, it's this big. So
I think about a cup of oil in there. It was a small saucepan. So you just want to make sure that the capers are submerged, right? I wouldn't waste the oil by filling up the pot just to fry a couple tablespoons of capers, okay? I'd say about a cup, maybe a cup and a half of oil, just to make sure that they were submerged in there.
Great. Someone else would like to know if they have an allergy to orange, what's a good substitution for the cranberry sauce?
Yeah, you know what? You can leave it out. You know, I would up the port wine. I think the recipe originally didn't have orange in it. It was just port wine, sugar, cranberries. You could omit the orange juice altogether and compensate for how much you took out. So if we took out the juice of one orange is probably a quarter of a cup of orange juice. I would just add a quarter of a cup more wine, or a quarter of a cup of apple cider vinegar. Maybe you can even do a balsamic. It's going to be a much darker sauce, but you could add vinegar if you're looking for that acid as a comp to the citrus.
Great. Couple questions about the cranberry sauce. How do we know when the cranberries are done?
They'll pop, they'll break open, right? So they'll start to break down. So it should look like a loose jam, right? So, imagine, if you were crushing grapes, like it's going to start to break, like the skin of the cranberries start to break, it starts to turn into more of a pulp. And that's the word that I guess makes the most sense. It gets pulpy, okay? It's sweet enough. It doesn't need to cook anymore. Once the cranberries start to break down, that's totally fine. And they should have some texture, right? So when you're eating the cranberry sauce, you shouldn't just taste like mush. You should have a little bit of bite, and that's going to be from the skins and things like that. Okay.
Another question about the cranberry sauce. Can we add agave in place of maple syrup?
100%.
And also with sugars, can you use an alternative sugar like coconut sugar or monk fruit?
Of course you can. Absolutely. And I would keep it, the fructoses are a little bit sweeter, I think, in general than your refined sugar or your cane sugar. But I would, I'd keep it about at a half a cup for this recipe.
Okay. Is there a reason that you fried the capers instead of keeping them raw?
Yeah. I think they're, and when I wrote this recipe, it's a variation of a recipe that I love doing with orzo pasta, and like julienne arugula, big fresh leaves of arugula. You could do it with baby arugula. But this, literally, those ingredients I think I added the dried cherries, but it has that Italian profile, right? The pecorino, the caper, the sun-dried tomato. So there's another salad that I kind of adapted to the Brussels sprout, only because the Brussels sprouts are super in season right now. And everybody likes to do Brussels sprouts for Thanksgiving. I think this is just a different way to use Brussels sprouts. So that recipe actually has the capers right out of the jar, right? Strain them out of the liquid right into the recipe. I fried them to add texture. I think when we're eating slaw or when we're eating salad, I think something crunchy is whether it be a crouton, whether it be like a frico chip or like a cheese crisp or something. I think texture is important, so it's not just all one mouthfeel, and that's why I fried them, because they get crispy.
Couple more questions about the cranberry sauce. Should the water be cold when you add the cornstarch?
Yes, that's a great question. And you know what? I wanted to make sure that I left this 15 minutes to chat with you guys. So I didn't actually do that on camera, and I apologize, but always cold water when you're making your slurry, whether that be with cornstarch, whether that be with tapioca starch, potato starch, whatever you're using to make your slurry. Cornstarch is just the most kind of readily available starch at the supermarket. So always cold water. Okay, you're going to get this clumpiness to the starch. It starts to activate it, and you want cold water. But when you're adding it to the liquid, in this case the cranberry sauce, the cranberry sauce obviously to be simmering. It needs to go into hot liquid to activate the starch.
Will some of the cranberries still be whole at the end?
Sure. Yeah, that's totally fine. Again, the cranberries are tart. I think just raw, like if you're in your kitchen, you have some, just
do yourself a favor and try cranberry. You're gonna be like, what's the deal? Even cranberry juice. I mean, there's tons of sugar in cranberry juice, but it's a tart juice. It's a tart fruit for sure. So the sugar, the maple syrup, the port wine, that sweetened it up significantly. So yeah, if you have a couple of whole cranberries in there, totally fine.
And how long will the cranberry sauce keep for?
In the refrigerator, you know, my rule of thumb for anything that's refrigerated is probably like 7 days, especially something with so much acid in it. You know, you want to be careful with pH when you're storing anything. So if you put this in a food safe bag, you know, I call it a week, you know, but yeah, so if you froze it or if you refrigerated it right now, yeah, it'd probably be fine. You know, those flavors would get real nice for Thanksgiving. But if I were you, I would put it in a Ziploc, put it, you know, get the air out, flatten it, fold it, put it in the freezer, and take it out Monday or Tuesday next week.
We have a question about the salad. If there's a nut allergy, instead of just omitting them, do you have something that they could substitute with?
Yeah, you know, I think a cooked pasta would be really nice. I think like orzo would be really nice in this. I think, you know, especially for the pignoli nut, because the pignoli nut is really soft. I think, you know, like a ditalini or even like a Israeli couscous would be really nice. I think, you know, it'd be really, actually, that sounds really good. Israeli couscous, shaved Brussels sprout salad with lemon vinaigrette. I'd certainly eat that.
People are wondering if this is a family recipe or if you created these on your own.
Yeah, so again, the cranberry sauce was adapted from Emerald's recipe that I saw back when I was, you know, 10 years old on the Essence of Emerald. That was even before his Emerald live show. And I remember I made that, you know, and then I got the New Orleans cookbook, and then he became like kind of my idol. But I made that for that Thanksgiving. And my mom was cooking the turkey. She's like, you want to cook something? I was like, finally allowed in the kitchen, you know, because yeah, I was kind of a terror as a child. She wouldn't let me near anything sharper with fire. So yeah, she's like, oh, you want to make something? I was like, yeah, I want to make this cranberry sauce because it seems so easy. I mean, it's like 6 ingredients. I think I added the maple syrup and the orange juice, but it was super easy. And I felt very proud of myself. So I guess you could call that kind of an heirloom recipe. And the Brussels sprout salad, I'll be completely honest with you, I typed it when Liza asked for it. When she asked for it, she said, I need the recipe. I was like, okay, and I'm typing it out because I wanted to use Brussels sprouts. So we said, okay, I'm going to do 2 recipes. We didn't have the time to roast a turkey or do anything like that. So I wanted to do like a fun side that wasn't obvious, right? Cranberry sauce is obvious, has a little bit of twist, but the Brussels sprouts, you know, we always think about roasting or charring them. Never think about eating them raw. And if you don't want to shave those, you can peel the petals off of the Brussels sprout too and have like a raw Brussels sprout salad that way. Might be a little bit more toothy, you know what I mean? Because of the large petals. I think just like cabbage, the thinner you can get it for coleslaw, the better the coleslaw. I hate chunky coleslaw. I like, it's like KFC. It's my favorite, right? It's like it's fine.
How long did you cook in class?
I'm sorry, Tamia?
Tamaya,
I'm so sorry.
how long did you cook in class?
How long did I cook today, or how long have I been cooking at Johnson & Wales?
How long did you cook in Johnson Wilson?
Yeah, I've been here for 17 years, believe it or not. I was an instructor and professor for 8 years.
Oh,
so
okay.
8 years in the kitchen. I haven't seen much of a kitchen lately, but yeah, 8 years. Thanks for your question.
TJ, we have some questions about the consistency of the cranberry sauce. Would you mind reaching behind you and showing the sauce?
Yeah, I'm going to put it right down on the cutting board.
And while you do that, we have several questions if there will be more cook-alongs. There will be. The next one is going to be a holiday baking theme with another alumni. It's going to be on December 15th, so stay tuned to your email for that.
Do Do you have Sarah's or the close-up camera? Can you highlight that real quick? Or spotlight it? You see that? Can we make,
Yep.
There you go. So that's the consistency after I added the cornstarch, okay? Let me take a spoon. Okay, it's thick, right? It's not saucy, right? It's not going to, this is it's almost like a jam, or, you know, if you were to open a can of cranberry sauce and start mashing it down with a spoon, that's really the consistency you're looking for. Okay, so as you're simmering it, a lot of the liquids are evaporating, and then you thicken it all with your cornstarch. So it's like a jam. It's an accompaniment that you can pick up with your fork, add to your fork with a slice of turkey and some stuffing and some candied yams. Okay, and that's how I like it. Again, it's cranberry sauce, but it's almost like cranberry condiment.
Great. Couple more questions. What's your favorite thing to cook?
My favorite thing to cook is bolognese sauce. I learned it, if anyone was here back in the 90s, there was a chef, one of our deans, his name was Robert Nograd, or Moshe Nograd. I had the opportunity before he passed to do a dinner with him, and he said, I'm going to give you my famous bolognese recipe. And from a Hungarian master chef, and being Italian, I was like, oh, okay, he's going to show me something. But it was the best bolognese I've ever had, and it's the only recipe that I tell people that I know how to cook, because when I make it, all I think about is Chef Nograd, what he did for Johnson in Wales, and for our culinary program all the way back 30-something years ago. He was an incredible guy, an incredible man, and I love making that sauce. I actually get requests for it. Can you make the bolognese? And I'll make pints and pints, or quart by quart, and hand it out to people. Good question.
Great. And last question, do you have any other turkey tips?
Yeah, so we haven't touched on turkey tips. Okay. To brine or not to brine? That is the question. I will say, and I don't want the chat box to blow up here, because I'm feeling because people are very split on whether to brine or not to brine turkeys. I brine. Sorry. I know I can see Kevin like really looking in the camera right now going, what do you, yeah, I do. I brine, but I don't do like an equilibrium brine where I don't like submerge the whole bird. Even though I've done that in the past, I inject the brine. So I make a brine, a salt brine with lemon, some hard herbs like rosemary and thyme, some garlic cloves. I let it simmer, and I get an injection needle. And then I inject the bird probably 30, 40 times, kind of all over it. Definitely in the breast, into the large part of the thigh, and into the leg. And I think it gives it enough brine. You're bringing flavor to the game, right? With all the herbs and the garlic, and a couple lemons, of course. And then what I do is I take what was in the brine and I stuff the turkey with that when I'm roasting it. All right. And so the lemon and the herbs, I stuff that in the cavity, right? Truss the bird, and I roast it high. I go high at first. God, I'm like kind of torn if I want to tell you how much butter I put underneath the skin. If you want to put butter under the skin, go right ahead. It's a great way to kind of bathe, because turkey is very lean. It's very lean. Like turkey breast it's lean. There's not a lot of fat. So I just soften butter with some herbs and spices, and just underneath the breast, I get my hand underneath the skin and kind of rub that butter raw, right on the turkey raw. And then when I stuff it with the herbs and I inject it with the brine, I truss it, then I roast it high. I go like 500. It gives me a super, because there's nothing worse than soggy skin to me. That's why the whole frying of the turkey became so popular. I think people just like to drop things in oil. I mean, I think I went through that phase. I've definitely fried turkeys. But as a whole, I'll touch on that in a second. High roast to get the skin nice and crispy. And then I drop it down to 375. And then I drop it down to about 275 and let it go slow, right? Because you can't keep it too high. You're going to evaporate the moisture in the meat way too quickly. but you do want the skin crispy. So you want to go high and then incrementally down to make sure that you have a juicy bird. And I think the brine helps that. The butter certainly helps that, right? We have to throw nutrition to the wayside when Thanksgiving comes around. That's why I was like, oh, do I say butter or no butter? But it helps bathe that breast meat. And then if you're frying it, okay, here's my suggestion. If you brine the turkey, or if you don't brine the turkey, air dry the bird, okay? I have pictures of when I moved into my house 5 years ago, my neighbors must have thought I was going crazy because I had the turkey tied to a tree branch, just hanging in my backyard. My neighbors was like, oh my God, there goes the neighborhood. Got this crazy Italian kid hanging turkeys from the tree. But think about if you're frying anything. When I fried those capers, there's residual water in the capers, and it pops. Water and oil do not mix, right? That's why we have to emulsify them, but they don't mix when one of those is 375 degrees. Okay, so if you put a wet turkey in that fryer, you're going to burn your house down. Okay, so always fry outdoors, not on your wooden deck, not close to your wooden deck, not on your lawn, okay? In a driveway or in the middle of a cul-de-sac, okay? Stay away from your house, because there's just, I think that if you're a novice cook and you don't understand water displacement or oil displacement in this case, you're going to overflow your fryer, okay? Some of them now have lids, which are really nice. The electric ones, totally fine. But if you're using the Bunsen burner type fryer with the pot, yeah, I've seen too many of those overflow. If your turkey's wet, you're going to exacerbate that, right? You're going to have way too much bubble up, and it's going to, it might get down your shoe, down your sandal. That's not good. It's not fun. So drier the turkey when you're frying it, the crispier the skin. Okay, because think about all those bubbles when you're frying chicken or when you're frying anything. Those bubbles, that's all the liquid trying to escape through the fat, right? So you're getting all these bubbles in your fryer. That's not going to result in crispiness, okay? You're going to have a little bit of bubble. It's protein. It has water in it. But the drier the skin, the better, okay? Because there's a lot of skin on a turkey. So if you're frying, dry. If you're roasting, butter, inject your brine, okay? And definitely have some aromatics in the cavity.
Great. Thank you, TJ. I'm going to turn it over to Lori Zabatta, our Director of Alumni Relations, to close us out.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Chef Delle Donne, for such an amazing demo and informative discussion. You certainly got us all ready for Thanksgiving, and I'm starving now, so thank you. Your knowledge in all things food is beneficial for us all, and your delivery makes learning enjoyable, comfortable, and entertaining. We're grateful to you for sharing your time with us and appreciate all that you've offered us in this inaugural session. Thank you. Special thanks to our prospective students who were in attendance tonight. We appreciate your participation and look forward to welcoming you into the JWU community. I'd like to thank the special events team for assisting Chef Delle Donne in the kitchen, and the alumni relations team for their help behind the scenes, especially Liza Gentile for her work to bring this program to us. Finally, thank you to all of our alumni attendees for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the format of this new program and feel that you learned a bit about our College of Food Innovation and Technology in the process. We're so proud of this landmark interdisciplinary approach to education. As Chef Delle Donne mentioned, it is all about bringing our students a world-class education. You can help support tomorrow's culinary leaders today with a donation to the College of Food Innovation and Technology. But your gift is more than a donation. The simple act of giving any amount actually contributes to the growth of JWU's reputation, our rankings, and our ratings. Alumni giving is a key metric in US News and World Report's annual rankings. You can boost JWU's standing by giving each and every year to the university, which increases the value of your degree and makes alumni even more sought after by employers. But most importantly, when we all contribute what we can, we combine our efforts to make a real difference for the students following in our footsteps. That is the power of collective giving. We've included a link in the chat for your convenience. On behalf of our students, I thank you for your generosity. We sincerely hope you enjoyed this session, part of the JWU for You family of programming. Through JWU for You, alumni can engage in informative and interesting discussions related to personal development, social, and avid interest topics. For the full listing of upcoming events, please visit our event calendar at alumni.jwu.edu. Thank you again for your attendance, and I wish you a wonderful night.